following paid program is sponsored by Henningsen Injury Attorneys.
Hello and welcome to Lawyer Talk. I'm David Lamb. Thanks so much for joining us. We really do appreciate you spending the next half hour with us here on Lawyer Talk as we help to distill, we go from the legal jargon to make it understandable. That's certainly our goal and what my hope is with the program tonight, to answer the questions that you are asking and do that in a way that is clearly understandable even to me. I'm not a legal expert. I've got one here, but the goal is certainly to make it understandable to where the questions you're asking, we get the answers for. Really excited about our guest tonight, an impressive local attorney who's just doing some incredible things in the legal arena. Todd Henningsen. Todd, welcome in.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you for having me, Dave.
So a little bio on Todd. Todd is the managing attorney at the Henningsen Law Firm, a firm that you probably have heard of. If you have not, you certainly will, because they are doing some big things and just getting some incredible results for their clients. That's why we're so thrilled to have Todd with us. Now, Todd, a little about you in just a moment, but first, three things I would like us to touch on if we can, and kind of my goal for this show tonight. And that's, I dare say these are the three biggest questions that regular folks have. And first of all, if I have a case, what does it cost? What is the cost to me? What is my out-of-pocket expense? Second of all, how long does it take? Time is precious, and the conventional wisdom out there is that legal cases, you hear about them going on for years. I don't have that much time, all right? Time is of value, so how long will my case take? And the third and final question, and the biggest, most important one, is how much is my case worth? We're going to answer those questions and others tonight. But first, Todd, help us, kind of a quick bio about you. How long have you been practicing law, and how long have you been in the Atlanta area?
So I have been practicing personal injury solely. So I graduated from law school in 2002 and was barred right after that. So now we're at 17 years practicing, and it's only been personal injury. I've limited my focus to that. Right. I had looked at doing some corporate work and things like that, but personal injury really resonated with me. I like to be able to help people. I liked the pace of it. I like doing the trial work. We just enjoy. At the end, you feel like you're helping people.
Right. Now, you're a young fella, married, you have kids, you're raising your family right here in the Atlanta area in our own backyard. For you, what are the cases and what are the moments where you go, that's why I got into this line of work, and that's why I'm glad I'm doing it right here in Atlanta?
It is, it's typically when the case is over, and we've been successful. Those are good moments.
Right.
But it's when you have a client who says, I just couldn't have done it by myself. Right. I really appreciate the effort that you did, that we've helped a family. I mean, there have been cases where, one in particular that I'm thinking of, the clients came in and it was his wife who was pretty grievously injured, and I told him what I thought about the case and where we were headed with it. And he said, Todd, when you were talking to me, I just didn't believe that we could ever get there. And when we got there, and to see how much it changed her life for the better, it was amazing. It was a very significant case. We were able to get her a new house, and she was paralyzed, and make sure that she was taken care of. Right. So it was very important.
Right. Let's get to our questions. I would say that the three biggest questions are the ones I talked about just a moment ago. I think those are kind of where the rubber meets the road.
Very true. I think that you've hit it on the head. That's kind of the three big questions that we see.
First of all, so let's tackle them one at a time, and we'll get to the one, how much is my case worth? That is the biggie.
That's the biggie.
But let's get to that one in a moment. First, though, what does it cost me? What is the out-of-pocket expense for legal advice and legal help?
Sure. In a personal injury claim, we work on a contingency fee basis, which means that there is no fee unless we make a recovery for you. Okay. So our fee is tied to how much we can get you, and so our success is tied to your success. I mean, our interests are completely aligned. And the reason that you do that is because we know in personal injury, when people are very vulnerable, They can't afford to pay for somebody. We're trying to level the playing field against an insurance company who's got basically unlimited funds, right? Versus you who's out of work, injured, has medical bills mounting, all of these things. So that's why we will front the costs, we will do all of the work up front, and then wait until we're successful to accept payment.
All right, so break that down, a follow-up here. So you hear a term, billable hours, from attorneys, right? It's almost like the clock is ticking, like a taxi cab, that clock is ticking. So a phone call to you, no cost, no obligation?
Correct, that's right.
All right, and so, and then when I'm meeting with you and talking to you about my case, again, nothing out of pocket from me?
No, nothing at all.
Okay. How often do you feel like your role is almost like a counselor? But you were talking about the real world. Whenever someone is injured and you're out of work, the medical bills are piling up, and that's in addition to rent has to be paid, and there are those sort of bills. Life goes on, so the pressure is mounting. How much of yours is just a counselor, just to be a teammate with someone, help them get through this, and to kind of assure them that we've got a plan and it's going to be all right?
That is a great question, because I think many times we are not only legal counselors, but we're just practical life counselors, because we've seen how the cases can ebb and flow and where they go, and generally the problems that arise with a lot of people in that particular case, right? So I'd say at least 50% we are just counseling on what to do. And that's not even legal counseling, right? That's not what I would call hard legal counseling. It's literally just life advice for the situation that you're in at this point. Because we've seen it so many times, and we've had so many clients go through it. So, I love that part of it. And I would even think, that part of it, kind of helping folks kind of get through it and being somebody that can help them, because like you said, I promise you, if you're in some kind of an accident and insurance is involved, the insurance folks, like you talked about, they are billion-dollar companies. So imagine the legal counsel and the legal help and the team that they have. They are trained to know what to do. There are, in some instances, there are different adjusters that are assigned to somebody who's non-represented versus somebody who is represented by counsel. There's a reason for that. That adjuster wants to make sure that you're not getting represented, because studies have shown that insurance companies pay more money when lawyers are involved. It's about dollars and cents, and I'm not here to vilify insurance companies. We need insurance companies, and we need to have them there. But I will tell you, they're trained to, if you will settle your case for $1, they'll pay you the $1. Okay, they're called adjusters for a reason, and they're not adjusting your case upwards. Okay, they're not trying to adjust it and give you more money. They're adjusting it downwards. And our job is to say, stop adjusting it downwards. That's not fair. This is what the law allows. This is what we're entitled to claim, and this is what we're going to go after. And the adjusters, you see them you can see them multiple times, so they're going to know your reputation as an attorney. Are you an attorney who's going to go to court? Are you an attorney who's going to file a lawsuit? Are you an attorney that rolls over? So your reputation is important, and I'd like to think that we have a reputation for fighting.
Yeah, you do. You've been selected a super lawyer, so your colleagues respect you as well. Again, why we're really thrilled to have Todd on the program tonight. A reminder right here, a couple of notes you're going to want to take from this evening. The website for Todd's law firm, the Henningsen Law Firm, AtlantaPIattorney.com, AtlantaPIattorney.com. An incredible resource for you that you're going to want to make note of. And the number to call, no obligation. The call is free. That number is 404-835-4935. Again, 404-835-4935. We're going to get to the question of how much is my case worth. That's a huge question. But I want to get to this one first, and that is, how long does it take? Because sometimes in the media, oftentimes, it seems like these cases go on for years.
I would love to tell you that, I can wrap up the case in 30 days, you're going to get paid, and you're going to get everything that you're entitled to. Many times it's not the case. But it's the case takes as long as it takes for your medical treatment to finish. Okay, so if you're treating for 4 or 5 months, or you're treating for a month, it's going to take at least that long. You've got to get all of your medical treatment finished. So what you're trying to do is reach maximum medical improvement. Hopefully that means that you're back to your baselines before the wreck occurred. Okay? If not, then we need to understand what's going on with you and what the future holds, right? Because we can claim future medical bills, future lost wages, things of that nature, if we're able to prove them. And so the case is going to take as long as your medical treatment lasts. A lot of people think that we lawyers are extending the case out.
Right.
I will say we're not.
Yeah.
We have no interest in extending it longer. When you're looking at a case, what we do is we move forward. We try to attempt to settle it without the necessity of litigation.
Okay.
If you don't want to go into litigation, you don't have to. You control the course of the case. I am there to guide you. You're there to make the decisions. And typically, when we're looking at a settlement offer, it's one of three things that I'm going to advise you of. One, take the money. Here's why, and I'll give you the reasons why.
Okay.
The other one is don't take the money. Let's look at filing a lawsuit. Here's the reasons why. The third could be, and you get it, this is a close call. Let me tell you what your options are. Now, if you go into litigation, and most cases don't go into litigation. Most cases resolve out of court.
Okay.
And a case can resolve even after a lawsuit is filed, before you actually go to trial. So there's opportunities to do that. And most of my clients don't really want to go to trial. They're not looking to try to get something for nothing. They want what's fair, and they want the insurance company to be fair. But if you have to file a lawsuit, it does take a long time. I regret to say that. I wish I could tell you that it would be fast process, but you're looking at months and you're going to get into years. Unfortunately, sometimes the insurance company will fight you that hard, and you have to do it. You have to be willing to fight and take the time necessary to make sure you're getting what you're entitled to.
There are a number of fantastic attorneys in this area.
Absolutely.
You're an incredible attorney. You have colleagues that are also impressive. But there are some folks, I wonder if this is a red flag. If I meet with an attorney and he promises me an amount and he promises me the amount of time it'll take to do it, and I can have that in 30, 60 days, is that a red flag?
I would run. Because you're getting into the next question. Case value, right? I mean, when we're talking about case value, the answer is, what would 12 people hearing your case and hearing all of the evidence and sitting in the room, what would they come back with? Right. That is a very tough question to answer, right? Just knowing all the elements. But we have an idea of what cases resolve for. Not even going to trial all the time, resolving out of court, just based upon experience. There's software that's available, based upon injuries and things like that. But there is no magic formula. There's no magic formula, and that anybody that can tell you a week after, your car wreck or slip and fall or whatever it is, this is what you're going to get. I don't think that they're being very truthful. Now, I can tell you that this is going to be significant and this is the reasons why, but I can't give a dollar figure at that point. At some point through the process of the case, we are going to talk dollar figures and numbers. I mean, true justice is going back in time and making it so you weren't injured. The only thing we deal with in the civil side of these cases is money.
So if in the course, you say it takes as long as it takes and the medical recovery, if you, as a firm, I assume, and I know you guys do because of your results, you do your due diligence and research and bring in experts if needed and all of that. Still no out-of-pocket expenses. So is that a part of what is that contingency fee? That is what you all cover, regardless of whatever it takes to kind of prove. To get the facts of the case, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that's a great question. So we're going to spend in an amount that is in proportion to the case, right? You don't want to outspend your case. You don't want to have $50,000 in expenses on a case that's worth $50,000. That doesn't benefit anybody. So you have to use a budgeting plan, right? If I spend $200 in the case, I want to make sure that we believe that the net result of that $200 is going to garner more money for you. And that's a discussion that we have. And I have clients who ask me, and the money is something that we front, okay? And so it's a contingency fee is your fee plus expenses, okay? So we're going to recover those expenses back. But we want to make sure that what we're doing is spending in proportion to the case. Experts can be expensive. I mean, they really can. And so you want to look at that. There's a break-even analysis that I go through with almost every client when we're evaluating a case. Here's where we are. Here's where I think we can head, even at a trial. And here's what we got to spend to get there. So what do you think about that? And the clients, sometimes it just totally makes sense. Like the time they offered me $15,000 and I got $400,000. I mean, the offer might as well have been zero at that point because it just didn't compensate my client for what they were going through, and we were willing to spend the money to go forward.
I want to quickly in a moment get to how much is my case worth, but one of the things about you is how approachable you are. You speak in common
You're
English.
kind.
So how important is it to have an attorney and to hire an attorney that you feel comfortable with rather than someone that you're afraid of asking the dumb question?
Right. I think that, look, I've never been accused of not shooting someone straight, okay? The thing is, what we're going to do is I got to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that doesn't mean I'm going to cheerlead a case to get you to sign and be my client and then later turn around and say, oh, sorry, I was mistaken on that point. Right. What we really want is to give you what we believe to be the real assessment of your case and what's going on.
Yeah, and I think that's what folks enjoy. Before we get to how much is my case worth, a reminder of a couple of notes you're going to want to take tonight. As you've heard Todd speak, he knows what he's talking about. The website, AtlantaPIattorney.com, that's a website, a great resource there. And the number to know, 404-835-4935. The free call, no obligation. You have nothing to lose. Again, that number, 404-835-4935. Time's flying. We have about 10 minutes or so remaining. I want to get to this question here, the big question. How much is my case worth? How do you answer that question? I bet you get it a lot. And how do you kind of counsel folks through that biggie?
Yeah, so, I was talking earlier, what would 12 people on a jury do, right? I mean, that's really how much your case is worth. But you don't try every case. I mean, it's just, most people don't want to go through with the trial. So we try to kind of read tea leaves a little bit on that. Let me talk about just some various factors to consider. And these are more 10,000 feet up kind of thinking. Okay, I don't want to get into the details too much, but several considerations that you think about is one, who's at fault? Okay, the first threshold question that you have is, can I prove that the other party is responsible for my injuries? If you can't prove that, your case is worth nothing.
Right.
I mean, honestly, now we're a comparative negligence state, so we have to prove that the other party was 51% at fault.
Okay.
Now, that's a very important consideration. And so when we're talking about typically car wreck cases and things like that, we're talking about negligence. Right. And negligence is the failure to use reasonable care under same or similar circumstances. Okay. That's lawyer talk.
That sounds like it, yeah.
Right? But it's simple. You're driving down the road and you're stopped and somebody rear ends you. Hey, they weren't looking where they were going. Right. I mean, it's just a sense of somebody didn't use the standard of care. They just weren't driving safely and they caused a wreck, which caused your injuries.
Right. And when it comes to that question, who is at fault, real quickly, that's where it's important for there to be some kind of a paper trail, maybe to document the accident and be careful about what you do say and admit to?
Yeah, absolutely. Don't talk to the other insurance company. Get the police to come out. We need to document the scene. Photographs, witnesses, anything that you can get if you're capable of getting it and doing it safely.
Okay. Second, injuries, kind of what are the damages? Is that the next step?
That is. What are the damages? First we can talk about, and we're just, again, broad brush strokes very quickly. Yeah. You're entitled to claim, your lost wages, medical bills, future lost wages, future medical bills, pain, suffering, inconvenience, humiliation from if there's a disfigurement of some type. There's also loss of consortium, which is your spouse can claim the loss of services and comfort and companionship. We don't do that a lot in every case. It has to be fairly significant before we're going to really pursue that. But we've done it, and we just recently did it, and we're very successful on it. So those are the elements of what you're entitled to claim. But what that really boils down to, in every case, are what is the nature and extent of your injuries, and how has it affected you? Right. And it's specific to you, because I think that a single mother out there struggling who can't go to work for 2 or 3 weeks, loses these paychecks, is trying to do everything that she can, is affected a lot differently than somebody who has a big savings account. Right. They may be younger and they're more resilient and they pop back, and it could have been the same wreck, same injuries, but they heal faster, something to that extent. So it's really personal to you. I mean, and getting to that point, every case kind of goes through the same process, but every case has its own unique set of facts and details that make that case unique to the insurance company and unique to how we're going to try to resolve it.
I want to get to insurance and kind of the question of am I covered, but as you ticked off that list, I can't imagine someone ever trying to go that alone, because I half the things you mentioned I never would have thought of.
Yes, well, it's not.
But you've done this a few times.
I have. Fortunately, it's not a do-it-yourself project. It seems simple in its concept.
Right.
You've been hurt. It wasn't your fault. It's the other person's fault, and they need to compensate you for it. The devil is in the details. There's all sorts of issues that come up that you have to look at. There's things called a right of subrogation. If you had health insurance, do they have a right to be paid back out of the case? Things that seem simple become complicated, I guess because of us lawyers. We've gotten involved and made these really complicated things. It's not our intent, but the concept is simple, and we're happy to talk to you on the phone and tell you, hey, yes, this is something that you want to get a lawyer involved in, and this is why. Or, hey, this is something you can just handle on your own, and we'll tell you how, what our thoughts on how to do it and why we think that. And if it doesn't work out, you can always call us back.
Yeah. Insurance is an important factor, and am I covered? We could get super bogged down here. Don't want to do that. But help us kind of answer that question of the third and a very important question is am I covered, or is this something I've got to pay for myself?
Well, here's why insurance is important, because it's going to control the amount of money that you get. Regrettably, there are situations in which there's simply not enough insurance coverage, okay? And let's just talk about a simple car wreck case. Let's say, for example, somebody is killed in a wrongful death case, and there's only $100,000 in insurance coverage for everyone. And the defendant that did it, the person that was driving the other car, they don't have the resources, the financial resources, maybe they're younger, whatever it may be, to pay anything above the $100,000. You may be limited to $100,000 on a case that is significantly worth more.
Right.
And so that's why it's important to protect yourself in these situations, and you can. Okay, so what we're talking about with that $100,000 was liability insurance.
Okay.
Liability is what is the insurance that is on the other driver's car, the person that's at fault.
All right.
And everybody that's driving on the roads in the state of Georgia is required to have that. And it's $25,000 to any one person injured, not to exceed $50,000 for all people injured in the incident. Okay. So basically think, if you've been injured by somebody, they have to have a minimum of $25,000 or they're illegal.
All right.
Now,
what happens if the accident takes much more than $25,000?
Let's hope that either they have more liability coverage, which they can. You can purchase $100,000, you can purchase $50,000, you can purchase $250,000, $500,000. You can have umbrellas, you can have all sorts of things. So you may be looking at a larger policy.
Okay.
A lot of times you see that in the tractor-trailer context.
All right.
The way that you really want to protect yourself, and I encourage everybody to look at their policy, is through underinsured motorist coverage.
Okay.
Underinsured motorist coverage protects you in the event that somebody hits you and doesn't have enough insurance. It's that simple. If you have a broken arm and going through that process is in medical bills the costs are so high now.
They are.
It's going to be $15,000, $20,000. $25,000 does not cover that.
Right.
I mean, it just doesn't. That doesn't cover, and that's to cover your pain, your suffering, your inconvenience, everything. If there's $25,000, it's not enough money. So let's say the other party has limited resources and they only have $25,000. You can go against your own policy and collect the money from underinsured motorist coverage.
How expensive? Is it very expensive to get?
No, it's not. It's not at all.
Especially with in that instance when you need it so bad, it's a pretty smart investment, sounds like.
Yeah, when people come in and we're discussing their case and we're looking at the value of the case, and I say, here's some limitations we have, and then I show them this is what they could have done, they just go, oh, why didn't I do that? Why it would have been, X amount per month, which is nominal compared to the losses that they're suffering now.
Yeah.
So it is important to get underinsured or uninsured motorist coverage. Let's say, for example, somebody hits you and they have no insurance, and you don't have any uninsured motorist coverage.
Right.
And the party, let's say, they don't have any funds to pay any judgment to collect upon. I mean, you can't get blood from a stone.
Right.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. All right. So we have liability. We have the uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage. What about medical expenses?
So there is another type of coverage, which is like no fault health insurance if you're injured in your car, and it can be in amounts of $5,000, $10,000, upwards of even $50,000. And what that is it is a insurance policy that applies even if you're at fault. A lot of people don't even understand that. If you drive off the road and into a ditch and injure yourself, you can collect from that policy. Okay? Georgia is a fault-based state, so in the traditional sense, if you didn't have medical expense coverage, you wouldn't have any source of recovery because the wreck was your fault. You, I don't know, overcorrected on a turn or whatever and drove into a ditch. So it's your fault. There's nobody to go after to get any money from. This would be a resource if you had medical expense coverage.
Yeah, or like, I mean, rural areas, dodging deers and all that sort of thing would all fall under that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I had a case one time where somebody called me up and they had got a concussion when they were getting out of their car.
Oh, Lord.
It
happens, yeah.
And I said, and they were just, I guess it was more of a friend. It was telling me what happened. I said, you can use your medical expense coverage in that situation because it's in the use and operation of the car.
Good advice.
And so they did.
Yeah. Just a couple of minutes remaining. These conversations just fly by. There's so much that we can cover. For you, just a couple of thoughts, things you want to leave with our viewers tonight.
Well, you know, I think it's important to understand, you know, those are the three big questions. There's certainly you at home may have other questions, right? And it may be specific to you. I'd say just pick up the phone and give us a call. We're going to give our honest assessment of what's going on in your case. And if we can help you, we want to help you. I'm not going to get involved in a case where I don't think that I'm going to be able to provide value to you. I mean, that's the most important thing. You know, if you're on the fence, hey, I can do this by myself, I can't do this by myself, there's no obligation. The phone call is free. Get some advice, right? And then if you're the other part who says, I need a lawyer, I don't know which lawyer I want to hire, I don't understand who's good, who's not, who's whatever, give us a call and let us tell you about your specific case, answer the questions, and see if you like the information that we have.
Yeah. Probably the worst thing anyone can do is just bury their head in the sands and just do it themselves and hope it goes away or just try to handle it on their own.
No, there's time limitations associated with these things. You want to make sure, and you know, evidence can disappear and things can go away and witnesses' memories fade. So, you know, the sooner the better. But, you know, I'm not trying to create a false sense of urgency, but, you know, if you've got something going on in your life or, you know, with an injury or a family member or a friend, give us a call.
Todd, it's always good to see you.
Great to see you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate the time. Really helped. I think we helped a lot of folks. Some great information there, and hopefully a resource really helpful to you. As we wrap things up, a couple of reminders. Whenever there is an attorney like Todd available, why would you ever go it alone? That's why it's important to take a step and do so right now. Write this down. The website again, AtlantaPIAttorney.com. AtlantaPIAttorney.com is the website. The number to know is area code 404-835-4935. Again, 404-835-4935. Thanks to Todd and thanks to you. We'll see you next time. Have a great evening, everybody.